Ciao, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Caroline. I share all things modern Mediterranean living, and today we are doing a super fun Mediterranean diet recipe video, perfect for this time of year. I said this last year and I'm going to say it again with full confidence this year. I am the biggest fall hater when it comes to the August month. I am all for fall. I love fall. I follow the seasons. It's super important for the Mediterranean diet, for the Mediterranean lifestyle, to follow with the seasons. It is not fall yet. I don't care what American marketing wants to put out into the world. It is August. It is peak summertime produce. Right now we are getting the best tomatoes, loads of zucchini. We are still full-blown summertime here on Caroline's Modern Mediterranean Lifestyle channel. And today I'm featuring 3 incredible recipes that are great to use up a lot of summer produce. I actually created all 3 of these recipes today because I had this summer produce getting a little sad in my fridge and in my pantry. This is one of the perfect examples of Mediterranean diet cooking. You don't want to waste anything. You don't want to throw away anything. Just because it's not at its peak beautifulness doesn't mean it's still not salvageable and perfect for a recipe. So these recipes transform incredible summertime produce. They all are pretty easy for being pretty homemade because on the Mediterranean diet, we try to make as much homemade as possible. And that's enough chit-chatting. We are gonna hop in to recipe number 1. For recipe number 1, we're going to be doing the zucchini and corn fritters with a delicious lemon thyme goat cheese sauce. I wanted to make these gluten-free. They are made with cornmeal, but I used a special type of cornmeal. I used polenta, and I actually took half a cup of the polenta and grinded it down to a really fine cornmeal because I was at the grocery store yesterday and I was like, well, should I buy polenta, which is just really coarse cornmeal at the end of the day, and a bag of fine cornmeal, or I could just grind it myself. I have a little tiny coffee grinder. They're super inexpensive, and I recommend getting one because you could grind your own flax seeds. You could grind your own little batch of tiny cornmeal. You can grind a lot of things. Yes, it's one more appliance, but it's kind of nice to have it if you make a lot of homemade things. To help keep everything together, I have some cornstarch. Of course, baking powder will help things rise, and then salt to bring out all of the flavor. So those are gonna be the dry ingredients. 1 egg to keep everything together and binded. I don't know if a flax egg would work. That's something I've never tested. You can test it out. I have some delicious Ohio local corn. I'm only gonna use 1 cob today for this recipe, but I prepped 3 of them just to have some corn in the fridge ready to go to add to salads, or maybe make another recipe with corn here in the next few days. Next, I have 2 zucchini that were also looking so sad and past their prime that I shredded, and I tried to squeeze out as much of the liquid as I can. And then I have some scallions because onion and garlic are just always a great combo. You could absolutely add probably 1 or 2 minced garlic cloves. I kind of opt out of garlic whenever possible just because I'm not a huge garlic girl. An onion can be too much for me, and I love that it's summertime. It's loads and loads of herbs right now, so I used green onions. So about 2 green onions, finely chopped. And then I'll add in a little bit of thyme as well. Fresh thyme. So when we're talking fresh herbs versus dried herbs, when it comes to like the little herbs, thyme, oregano, always less flavorful when it's fresh. So you want to use a ton of fresh thyme, a ton of fresh oregano, because when it's dried, it's more concentrated with that flavor. So you could use dried thyme in this recipe, but you just won't be using nearly as much as I call for with the fresh thyme, because fresh thyme is much less concentrated in flavor compared to dried thyme. And then lots of, well, I don't have a ton left, but freshly cracked pepper. I really recommend getting freshly cracked pepper. It makes a difference. It really does. When you're eating, you want to taste the flavors. And I might get a lot of people saying, well, there's not a lot of flavor. Where are the flavors in this dish, Caroline? Sometimes it doesn't need a lot of flavor. Sometimes you really want to taste the really sweet corn and the sweet zucchini together in a dish with the nutty cornmeal and then a little touch of the scallions. We're here to taste the produce. That's Mediterranean diet and Mediterranean cooking, is you're tasting the produce. Of course, don't get me wrong, there are times when you load up flavor and layers of spices, but sometimes it's like, no, I just want to taste these summertime produce flavors, because when you're eating seasonally, when you're eating locally, produce tastes amazing and you don't have to drench it in a ton of flavor. And to go with all of this, I wanted to make a creamy kind of sauce or dip for these fritters. So I did whipped goat cheese. I love goat or sheep's milk cheese a lot, or dairy in general, because it has different enzymes and it's a little bit easier to digest for the human body when it comes to goat or sheep's milk versus cow's milk. So I love using goat milk, plus it's so tangy and rich and delicious. And I thinned it out with a little bit of water and extra virgin olive oil for the olive oil to help give it a little bit more fruitiness and luxuriousness, and then the water just to help with the consistency so it's actually like a sauce. Lots of lemon zest, lemon juice, a big touch of honey to really help with all the tanginess going on and bring back the sweetness to complement the sweetness of the zucchini and the corn, and it just is beautiful. I could have added like 25 more sprigs of thyme. There's not enough time for how much time I should have added. Just whip up the batter and you get a coating of olive oil on your pan, and you kind of just want to fry them on each side. If you want them super crispy, you could do them in the air fryer, you could do them in the oven. Because we're sauteing the fritters in some good amount of olive oil, I'm going to do this for the next portion of this video. We don't need stains. It's a very loose batter. It's not like it's this pancakey batter. I mean, it's definitely super moist and it's compactable. It's squishy and you can kind of compact it. Something super simple to use is just a spoon, but to make it nice and compact and even, I'm going to do probably 2 spoonfuls of this scooper. It's really handy, and I'm just gonna press it up against the bowl like this. So you take it and you press it like this and just plop it into the pan. So I have just enough olive oil in the pan to coat the bottom. I've made a bit of a mess. I did happen to break a smidge of a sweat. Yes, frying them individually over a pan is not the smartest summer thing to do. It gets hot. It takes about 15 minutes to do the next few rounds. Guys, it's worth it. It's worth it to make really good food. The time and the energy and the effort is worth it to make really good food. These are top 10, one of the best things I've ever made. Oh my gosh. And they're best eaten right away, but that doesn't mean you can't meal prep these. These are so good. I didn't even do a formal, now it's time to taste test these. Guys, I'm slacking, not in practice in my recipe videos. They don't stay insanely crispy because I'm not deep frying them or even shallow frying them. I'm just barely crisping up the edges. But because I put in that polenta, you get a beautiful crunch from the polenta. When I show you guys the up close, you'll see the little tiny grains of polenta, and it adds a beautiful crunch and texture and depth of corn flavor to these amazing fritters. These are so good. And they're great for meal prep. You can bake them, reheat them in the oven, reheat them in the microwave, in the toaster, whatever you want to do to reheat them. The sauce really adds the creaminess that you're looking for, a nice tang to cut through all the sweetness from that goat cheese. So I'm gonna have one more bite and we're gonna move on to the second recipe. For recipe number 2, we're doing a really delicious, savory, satisfying vegetarian meal. It is a stuffed Moroccan eggplant, very much a riff off of Moroccan eggplant. You cut it in half and you score it. I've done this before. I think I did this just last year, but I did it with a chermoula sauce, so a very, very herby sauce. This is a beautiful way to make eggplant. I get a lot of questions on how to prepare eggplant so that it's super delicious. And something about eggplant is it's kind of a sponge. It roasts really well, and this is for sure one of my very, very favorite ways to prepare it, where you can just score it like this and you can really get down deep into the eggplant and fill it with a bunch of flavor, and as it roasts, it gets soft and delicious, and then you have a little boat, basically. You have a vessel for your meal. You're getting a ton of vegetables in, probably what, like 70 calories to eat a whole eggplant, but it's not about the calories. But if it was for weight loss, this is a genius concept. You're just eating a whole vegetable, 2 vegetables, and it feels like you're eating a lot. That's a pro tip with weight loss, is find the foods that you can eat a lot of that won't like make you sick or give you stomach aches, of course, but high volume eating, so you feel like you're eating a lot, but it's really low calories, like you're eating a whole entire eggplant. And what I use today is a delicious, I used a delicious blackening seasoning that I created in my last recipe video early this summer, which was the 3 salads. I did this blackening seasoning for salmon. I love this blackening seasoning so much. It highlights sumac. It highlights so many delicious Middle Eastern spices If there's a spice you don't like in this spice mix, take it out. If you want to buy a spice mix, go to the grocery store, look for a delicious spice mix to keep on hand. I really recommend Baharat. Oh, there's another spice mix that I really, really love that has like so many delicious Middle Eastern combos. I forget it right now. I have the oven preheating to 400. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this into the oven and basically bake it up until it's soft and roasted and delicious. So while it's baking, you can prep the inside. There's so many things, like I said, you could do a ground meat mixture with some red sauce and put it on top. You could do like a rice pilaf and put it on top, and that would be like a great side dish. I made a delicious, not appetizing looking thing. Lentils and red sauce. It's hard to make that look beautiful. You have to believe me, I literally just took off the lid and got the aroma of all that's going on in this pot, and it smells salivating. It's so good. So I cheated the system today. I used an amazing brand called Mina, and I used their shashuka sauce. I don't know how to say that, which is just tomatoes and bell peppers and spices, and the ingredients were so minimal and it tastes so delicious. It's a total sauce that Caroline probably already has on her website. I mean, you could easily just make my lentil ragu, meal prep that. Like if you ever make my lentil ragu, it is a little time consuming for sure, but it freezes so beautifully. And what you wanna do is like freeze it in little containers so you don't have to like unfreeze the whole entire massive batch all at once, and you can use it for so many different things. But my lentil ragu would go perfect. You could do like chickpea salad inside of the boats if you wanted to keep it vegetarian or even vegan. This is a totally vegan dish. I like to use legumes because they have that protein that you're looking for, and to make them a more complete protein, to add some even more protein to it, I added in a lot of nuts. You could use walnuts, you could use almonds. I used pistachios today just because I love the taste. Lentils are so hearty, so satisfying. You don't need to eat a lot of them to feel full. If you're on weight loss or just in general, even if you're not trying to lose weight, two super important things, protein and fiber. If you're eating the Mediterranean diet, you're eating such a variety of things that fiber is kind of easily found. I don't really harp on fiber that much because you're eating whole foods on the Mediterranean diet, and whole foods have the fiber that you're looking for. I'm topping it off with something creamy and nutty, also just to give it flavor, super simplicity, just a drizzle of tahini. I'm not gonna even add water to it. I'm not gonna add garlic. You could make a beautiful tahini sauce. I think I have like 4 or 5 tahini sauces on my website. And then we need to brighten everything up. We have the cooked spiced eggplant. We have the cooked red sauce, tomatoey, red peppery, lentil nut mixture. So we need to brighten everything up. I'm gonna add some zest and some juice of a lime. You could use lemon. I think lime pairs so well with the spices that we're working with. You could use cilantro, that would be beautiful on this. I wanted a really strong herb, so cilantro or mint. I'm gonna use mint because mint is refreshing. Cilantro is too, don't get me wrong. And so honestly, either or would be fabulous. You could do both. The beautiful, gorgeous, falling apart, so meaty, so delicious eggplant. I already know it's gonna taste amazing. A really big bite. It's like a ping pong of flavors in my mouth. Oh my gosh, this eggplant is cooked to perfection. It's so satisfying, so chewy, roasted, heavenly goodness, so much flavor, you guys. Wait, did I say the previous recipe was the best? Because I think this is the best. I wish I was starving so I could eat this entire plate. This is so good. Put the lime right on top. It needs more freshness. I should have like drenched it in herbs. If I wasn't plating this for photography and social media and my blog and all this, I would put like just handfuls of herbs. Okay, I need one more bite. I need to stop eating this because I have one more thing to eat after this. Oh, the lime helps so much. I love to bring dishes back to life. Like after they've been cooking for so long, you have the eggplant that's been roasting for so long, you have the dried lentils and nuts in that sauce that was cooked for so long. Like bring things back to zesty life with beautiful aromatics. All right, putting the plate down, and we are going to move on to the third and final recipe. Heaven. Before we move on to the third and final recipe, French blue from Bordeaux, rosé. It's Friday night at 6 o'clock. This is where I turned from being Ina Garten or Jada on the Food Network to, oh yeah, I'm just Caroline and this is my YouTube channel. It is 6 o'clock. I've been working on this recipe video since like 10 a.m. Ooh, Caroline, it's been an 8-hour workday. It's been a lot. I'm not even done filming. It's been 8 hours. This sink is atrocious with the amount of dishes I need to do, not to mention just all the work that entails after all of this tonight. But anyways, a little crispy rosé Friday night. I've lost all my natural light, so I literally need to go outside to the yard to photograph and film the gorgeous heirloom tomato galette. Holy moly. It's my pastry crust that I've made a million times for you guys. I wish I had like einkorn or some like really fun grain of a flour to mix in to this pastry dough this time, but I didn't. I just used all-purpose flour. You can use pie crust. You could even use puff pastry. Like I've seen this hack where if you like cut a border, like not all the way through, but like 3/4 of the way through around a rectangle of puff pastry, that will cause it so it just rises on the edges and like stays low in the middle. So you could use puff pastry for your tart. Now at like Whole Foods, even Trader Joe's, you can find gluten-free puff pastry or pie dough in the frozen section. So I know it does exist. So I did my simple pastry dough. I made it earlier today. It needed to be in the fridge for a couple hours to set. The filling is so simple. It is nothing more than ricotta. Make sure it's whole milk ricotta. Guys, I don't know why America did what it did when it said low fat everything. You have to get low fat, low fat. It's healthier to be low fat, but it doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste nearly as good as the whole fat. It's more processed, and our bodies are allowed to have fat. You need fat to exist. Fat is okay, especially when it's a natural source. When you're talking fat inside of milk versus Crisco on your French fries, two different things. So delicious whole milk ricotta, literally a whole lemon zested to about 1/4 cup of ricotta. 5 or 6 basil leaves is plenty. I did a lot. I really love basil and tomatoes. I feel tomatoes aren't complete without basil. Is it because I've been growing up my entire life eating caprese? Probably, but like I feel like every tomato needs a basil leaf on top of it. That's my red flag, maybe. And so I did the layer of the ricotta super thin, leave a little border, of course, for the edges to pull it up, and then you do about 1/4 of an inch, but about 1/4 inch thick of tomatoes. The tiny tomatoes I just simply cut in half. This tastes like an expensive margarita pizza. Oh my gosh. Okay, it tastes delicious. This is so good. You have to try this. This is so good. The tomatoes are so jammy, yet still have some chewiness and body to them. My tummy is so full. Oh, I have so many dishes to do, guys. 3 recipes. So incredible. Do you guys want to see Lucy's haircut? She was so scraggly. She has a nice haircut, creating some zest, creating some Mediterranean diet recipes. Bye! Please leave a comment below what your favorite recipe was from this recipe video, which one you're most excited to try. I think it's time to find my sweet treat of the night, do a bunch of dishes, and maybe drink another glass. Thank you so much for joining me today while we were in the kitchen creating some delicious Mediterranean diet summertime, very vegetable, vegetarian, lovely recipes. And please don't hesitate to leave any questions of any kind below. And that wraps things up. So until next time, I hope you create a very, very zestful day. Ciao.